section of the entire course where we are going to learn about VBA, which is Visual Basic for Applications, and this is used to automate any repetitive task that you can think of within Excel or any Office application for that matter. Now, why this is important for us to know this? Uh, there are multiple points to it. So the point number one is after a few months that you work in Excel, things seem a little boring because you most probably will be doing same thing over and over, unless your job changes very rapidly or the requirement changes very rapidly. There are high chances that you are going to do same things over and over on a daily basis or a weekly basis, right? When you move into your career, you might see that the usage of Excel is high. However, the frequency, it's a little low. So what I mean by this is that Excel will be important to understand relatively smaller data sets. However, it will not be the primary tool to understand and analyze data. So with that explanation, I will go ahead with the agenda. So what is VBA? Visual Basic for Application. It's an inbuilt language, programming language that supports any automation. Excel has the most wide application of this programming language or scripting language. We'll talk about what, but for now let's understand. So with that explanation, let's start by doing some setup exercises so that you can start writing the code. Okay, so on the top where you see your menu bar, you would see home, insert, and so on. And we need another tab which is used to interact with or go to the VBA editor, right? So let's click on these three dots, more commands, and we can go to ribbon. In ribbon you would see everything that is available for us, and there are two tabs that are not available as of now, or they are not enabled. One is automate and the other one is developer. So when you are going to write the VBA code, you mostly would need a developer tab. I click on it and save, right? And that would enable the developer tab to be viewed on your Excel application. Remember, I'm using Mac and this is Office 365. If you're using any either Windows or any other version of Excel, things might be a little different for you. I would suggest that you Google how to enable your developer tab in that particular version or operating system. Now let's understand this ribbon. So we have Visual Basic. So if I click on it, it will be open your editor where you will be able to write the code. Okay, you can start recording the macro. What is a macro? Macro is basically the automation that you're going to do. That's also called macro. And like Excel and Office applications in general have this record setup where when you click on it, it will record every action that you're going to take and convert that into a native VBA code which you can interact with. And when I say interact, it means you can edit that code in order to make changes or enhance your code. So it's a good place to start with, that you record your entire exercise and then you test it whether it can actually do your work and there are no edge cases or there are no scenarios where the code fails, and if it fails then you can modify the code accordingly, right? Before we move ahead, let's talk about a few things which are expected from this section. So the first one is, this is intro level VBA session. So I would not expect that you would be a professional VBA developer after doing this section, right? It's a part of Excel course. Our main focus will always remain Excel. However, for completeness of the course, it is very important that you understand that there is something called VBA, macros, sub procedures, and user defined functions that you can actually use within Excel in order to automate repetitive tasks, or uh, you can create your own custom functions within Excel to make your life easy. So there are multiple things that you can do using VBA. So one is forms. You can create the form where you have input boxes, filters, drop down submit buttons that will basically perform any action that you desire, right? This is something that we are not going to cover because it is not something that we can actually cover in a few videos. This is a very large section in itself. The second one is UDF, which is user defined functions. So these are the custom functions that we can build within the workbook, which you can use to, of course, make your life easier and use it to make complex tasks a bit easier, right? We'll talk about this first. So sub procedure is a piece of code that will help you to actually automate any task that you desire, right? So what is the difference between UDF and sub procedure and forms? So UDF is custom function. So any function that you use on Excel is an inbuilt function, but you can also create your own function. So it's sort of not automation, but it is a helper function, right? So it will help you to do something, but it will not complete your tasks, right? Forms are an example of event driven coding. So mostly when you create a form, it requires some inputs, it requires some getting the data from different places, and then you submit all of it. And when you submit, it triggers an action, and that action basically is an event, right? So forms are an interface which you can use to code at the backend and at the same time give an interface to the user, and based on that interface the program will run accordingly, right? So if you click a button, it might run some code based on some value that you have selected in the forms, whether it is using text or labels or any other boxes, check boxes, and so on, right? Sub procedure, on the other hand, is a piece of code that will help you to automate the actual automation that we are going to cover, right? So what all things that it can do, I don't think I can give you a list because it's very broad what sub procedure can do, but just for introduction, you can copy and paste data from different places to different places. That is a very simple example of what you can do using sub procedure. You can open and close files, and you can read the data from those files as well. You can delete and edit cells or ranges accordingly. You can use loops in order to do something with logically with the data. You can also interact with the files on your operating system, like if you want to rename files based on some condition, you can also do that, and so on, right? And anything related to data analytics or data analysis can also be performed, because VBA, even though it's not a complete language, it is sufficient in order to perform almost all the major tasks that you might be doing under data analytics or any related domain. Okay, so with this we have already set up. Let's click on Visual Basic in the Developer tab, so that you understand where we write the VBA code. right? And with this, I think this is the correct time to look at uh, so what you're looking at is the place where you see the object model for the entire opened files of Microsoft Excel, right? So what you are looking at is the VBA project. So uh, just to give you context, so every workbook is part of a VBA project, right, which is an overall wrapper which contains everything that you are going to use under Excel, right? um, Within this we have sheet 1 and this workbook. Okay, so every folder that you see here represents any workbook that is open in your system, right? And within each workbook you will have sheets. So sheets are all the sheets that are currently available in the Excel file. And then this workbook is particularly for any file that you currently have active or actively open, right? So now we have properties window and we have a lot of functions here. I'm going to cover VBA as mostly practically. Okay, so let's right click on this folder. Okay, and you would see that we have a few options to select. VBA project properties. So whatever workbook that you have selected, okay, properties or VBA project properties of that file. We can insert module or class module. We can import a file if that is required, or we can hide it, right? So we are going to insert a module. Okay, what is the difference between module and class module? Class module are sort of libraries that you can create and pull it in your module, and it is done for projects which are larger in size, right? So for example, if you have worked on any language, mostly you would import a library which is native to that programming language, right? For example, Python. In Python, we import any library that we wish to use. Every library that you import is basically a collection of different code files. When you import it, basically you are including those code files in your project, and you can use those code in your own project, right? So however, you can also create your own library within Python and use it as your native import, right? So exactly this is what class module is. Let's go to module, click on it, and what you would see is an editor window. This is the editor window where you would actually write your VBA code, right? And you would see that within VBA project we have modules, and within that we have module 1, right? Obviously we can change the name, and we can have as many modules as we would like, and we can have as many class modules as we would like as well, right? So let's understand the 4 parts that we see on the screen. So on the top you would see all the options that are available to you. On the left there are 2 parts. One is the project, where you see your directory structure, and then whatever you would select, based on that the properties will change at the bottom, and you can basically change these properties in order to fulfill anything that you wish to do, right? So and the 4th part is the actual text editor, and within text editor we have 3 parts. So 2 drop down menus, right, and 1 place to actually write your code, right? We'll talk about these drop downs as we start writing the actual code, but for now let's understand that these drop downs will help you to navigate through the code if your code becomes larger in size, right? So with this, let's start with recording a macro so that we understand how to do it first. Second, how the actual code looks like when you record the macro, right? So how would you start recording a macro? Let me cross it. Okay, I go to the developer tab and I have this option which is record macro. And now when you start recording the macro, you have to identify or you have to give it a name. Okay, so let's call it copy and paste. Okay.